Welcome to Unconventional, where women play by their own rules. I'm your host, Desiree Wodicker, Muay Thai champ, entrepreneur, mom, and your daughter's favorite fighter. And today we have a lovely guest that is going to break down how mindset can shift and change your life and the outcome of success that it has on you. Today, I have a key speaker, author, mom, survivor. Oh my gosh, the list literally goes on. Our guest, Danelle Delgado, and also known as the Millionaire Maker.
I love it. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, I found that little fact out about you, the Millionaire Maker, and I was like, that's so intriguing, and I love that, and I wish FINRA wouldn't put a stamp on me for calling me the Millionaire Maker because they would be like, no, ma'am, you cannot use that.
I love it. I love it. It's kind of a nice title. I do
Yeah.
for sure love helping people make a lot of money. I think it changes everything.
Yeah, I think when I look at your brand, so you guys, I mentioned and I rattled off a bunch of different titles there, but I feel like looking at your brand, Danelle, and looking at everything that you stand for online, I would dub you as a key speaker motivator, as well as like a life coach. Would you agree?
I'm sure all the titles apply. I think my greatest love is really probably helping people train their brain to win. There's anybody can, right? We all know right where we are and where we want to be. And there's just this gap there. And I think giving people that little extra where they can't actually unlearn what I told them, they can't forget what it is, and they cannot underachieve ever again after they meet you. That's the favorite part that I get to do. What if we all looked at ourselves
Oh,
in that way?
yeah, that's crazy. I think as a fighter, I've been digging deeper a lot more over the years on the mindset that it takes to be able to get in a ring and physically hurt somebody.
I'm
Because
sure.
I think I think as women, it's not in our nature, right? Number
Mm,
one, to do things like that. I have to flip on a switch. Some women are more aggressive, but for me, I have to like literally
for
flip on
sure.
a switch. But just
That's
the
for
mental.
sure. I so listen, I that is a very big piece of information that we don't know how to do. When I was going through a divorce is when I took up boxing. And
Okay.
I literally had no idea how to box or what to do. Like I've air boxed, right? And it was like a little women's fitness class. That is not the same thing. But I got in the ring with one fighter, and he mentored me through divorce, and he taught me two things. And you're right. Because even though I was like a killer instinct, I couldn't hurt anyone. And there's a different thing that needs to switch. But the number one thing was when we were fighting and learning, and I was boxing, I was training, right? He kept hitting me in the face and was like, when are you gonna learn how to protect yourself? When are you gonna learn how to protect yourself? When are you gonna get your hands up? And I thought I could win life by just swinging, and learning how to defend yourself, number one, and then swinging to make an actual connection and hit. It like blew my
Mm.
mind for how I built business, how I built life. And I will tell you, anyone who's never done anything like that, like I watch you fight, I watch your videos, I'm like, that lady is so strong. And there's something that has to happen in you when you learn how to land a punch.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And that's exactly why we are doing this show, Danelle. And I'm so glad you brought it up because there are so many similarities between fighting and the corporate world or the business world that are gravely underutilized, underlooked, under research, I feel like, and underapplied. And so my goal is always like coming from a corporate space, coming from wirehouse finance. I've done the same thing. I've applied things and tools that I've learned throughout this journey to help me be successful. And as I start on this new journey of, building businesses of my own, building platforms like on YouTube, I carry that same mentality and it has helped me over the years dramatically because I mean, like Mike Tyson says, your plan's great, everything's good until you get punched in the face, right?
That's so true. It's so true. But don't you think like any high achiever, whether you're a fighter, you've done something in business, you're an athlete, any high achiever can take that one skill and apply it to any area of life. And I
Mm.
call it rich roots, right? Like,
Oh.
how rich are your roots? And once you
Mm.
learn that mentality, you take that same fight to building a relationship and you win. You take that to building a business and you win. You just have to win in one ring once to never forget that you're capable of it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's actually how my journey started with fighting. My coach kind of planted a seed and was like, "Hey, you're really good. You should try this out." And I was like, I don't know. Like I've never like done anything." And then he's like, "Well, when you're ready, like let me know." He kept, planting the seed, and then finally I got enough courage to be like, "You know what? Why not?" I'm always open to trying new things, and that's a completely separate topic in itself. But I was like, you know what? I've never done this before. I'm going to do it. And I did it. And I won, Danelle. And I was like, wow, that felt so good. Like I can never replace that first time, that first win that I ever had fighting someone. And I was like, wow, something and I even say today, the fact that I'm sitting here fighting at this level in this space right here, right now, I would have never, Danelle, ever guessed I would be here. And
Same.
yeah, I was about to say, do you feel like, because man, you've been on
Yeah.
TED Talk, you've been in Forbes, I've read the articles, you've written a book, like you have all of this crazy stuff happening, like huge accomplishment. Like I'm almost like I want to be like you when I grow up, right? When I look at your story, and it's huge, and I admire your perseverance, and so hopefully we'll go through some of that today, but I mean, sometimes you just look up and be like, wow,
Yeah.
damn, like I've done that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, every time I go speak, I have a little speaker reel that I share, and it goes through my story. It goes through overcoming cancer. It goes through going through divorce. It goes through raising three kids on my
Mm,
own. It goes through the business build, into networking, and all these things, to being on Forbes, USA Today, like all these things. And when you look at yourself growing up, I think all of us have those moments where, like, maybe I could, where you look at someone and you're like, I feel like that's meant to be me, right? Like we have these tastes, but then every time you do it, and I still look back, but when I watch that speaker reel before I speak, one, it's to tell people my story without having to tell my story, so it's faster, right? But
yeah.
two, it gets me in that position of, do you remember how hard you fought to be here every day before I go take a stage to go impact people? Because I think sometimes
Mm,
we get nervous, we think about ourselves too much, like I just want to affect someone. But when I watch that reel and I remember the whole story, I go out there going, not one life should not change when I'm done. Like they
yeah.
have to know what they're capable of, right? So the reels actually for
Yeah.
me. So I watch that story every time I go on
Lights
stage.
you up.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, this this took some fight. This, oh my,
Yeah.
like I watch those photos and videos and I get a little emotional going, yeah, that was hard. Oh, almost died on that one, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's an interesting. It's also an interesting perspective to take on things because I was actually just watching the Diary of a CEO, and he had a guest on there who was about restructuring our biases in our mind, our mental. And he made a good point where he was like, we live in the past a lot, even when it's people like you who are key speakers and they go and they tell their story. But he was talking about not being able to overcome our past, but when we live in the past, our bodies cannot distinguish between that event actually happening now and it happening in the past. So what he's saying is biologically, chemically, our body actually relives
Yeah.
trauma that we've had in the past. And I was like, ooh, that's deep. And then
Hmm.
how do people that are motivators that motivate people with their story not continue to relive some of the things that they do? But I think the same may apply in the situation of hard things happening to motivate us, which is actually one of my
Hmm.
questions that I had for you that that was like, have you ever been underestimated? Because you come across so many different people. Yeah, like have you ever been in a position where you felt underestimated or not worthy? And did you use that as fuel for what now you sound like motivation and fire,
Yeah.
whereas some people can use it as a hindrance against them?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's exactly what you said, where people say you relive trauma unless you give it a new meaning. And for me, that trauma is what built me. And so every time I see it, I don't see pain. I see conquering. I see a champion. I see no one thing, no one circumstance can knock me off my rocker. So as I look at it, I think there's a couple way to build in business, right? Some people get underestimated and it fuels them where they're like, I'm going to show you. And they kind of do this aggressive approach to business. And I think I did that in the beginning, especially because I'm in a lot of male dominant spaces, the insurance world, the automotive space, where it's
Guilty.
all men, finance, right? And my book, like they're like, here she comes choosing joy, right? And they beat me up a little bit, like seems like a fluffy message. And I was like, actually, gratitude's like the most gangster thing you could ever do. But we'll put these up head to head and just see, right?
She's an
And I
emotional
was,
gangster, y'all.
yeah, yeah. So and that's what they ended up. It moved from that to she's a velvet hammer. Watch it. She seems like joy, but she's gonna punch you in the face, right? With
Yeah.
accuracy. And so I think it really is the message we give it. And I didn't want to continually build a business trying to prove something because that was exhausting and depleting, like I wasn't worth it. And so what
Mm,
happened is the more mental work you do and the more you try to see life from different balconies, right? Without feeding what we're fighting, like what can you overcome? What could you do? Man, you know what a girl could do is, right? And it became idea seeking and self competition and never like becoming this unoffendable human. No matter what anyone said, I was like, well, let's just see if I can, right? And so when you move from that being offended and fighting to win, you kind of move into this area of peace where it becomes more fun motivated. And I am way more motivated to do big things because
mm,
of fun than I am because of pain. And I think most humans are like that. So after a
mm,
while, when you're fighting for it, I try to teach people like, what would happen if you built your business in fun and celebration and in conquering rather than trying to prove it to your mom or your buddy who doesn't believe in you and it's hurting you.
mm.
Like that makes no sense to me. Oh, you want to hurt your mom? You want to
Yeah.
hurt your best friend? Or why don't you just show them what you're capable of and impress them? And they could be like, I'm sorry, can you show me how you did
Inspired.
that? Like, where do we really want to make the effect and the turn? And when I made that turn, it was like someone left the gate open. It was like, have no offense, let people speak and go show them what's possible. And the haters turned into absolute warriors for me, like shouting my name
Mm,
from the rooftop because they're like, man, we were mean to her. And she never
yeah.
cared. She was kind, she was clear, and she just kept winning. And then they honored my hard work and my hustle because they know when you achieve a certain level, people automatically have a little bit of respect for you because they know it wasn't easy, right?
Mhm.
But people underestimating me actually was like a fact check. Are they correct or
Mm.
are they not? And I would just filter it and go, is that fact or is that feeling? Do they feel bad about themselves or is that true? And when it made me a little uncomfortable, I was like, ooh, maybe I should work on that because it feels a little true. And
Yeah.
so it actually was like the greatest gift in the world. Underestimate me. Tell me where I'm weak so I can fix it. And when I didn't take
Yeah.
offense, I actually took it as a lesson. I was like, I owe them thank yous. Thank you. You made me totally speed
Yeah.
up my descent.
Interesting. Yeah, there's two things that you made a point on, which one is relatable, which I wish I had someone like you in the start of my career. I started at Wells Fargo. I've been in Ameriprise and practice acquisitions and all these things. And I always had these beliefs about myself. I'm too young, I'm too brown, I'm too woman, and
Mhm.
it crafted me to do exactly what you're saying, prove a point. It created motivation, but in an unhealthy way,
Mhm.
which it's high pressure sales, right? So I know you have experience in sales. I remember I read a piece of your story where you're like, I went into sales and then found out I sucked, and I was like,
So
oh,
bad. My
it's
mentors were
it's
like, honey, you are going to
funny.
starve. You should quit. They were like, you're too kind for us not to tell you the truth. You're real bad.
He
It was
said
bad.
that you're gonna starve. Yeah, it's sales is a grueling thing, but I will say is probably one of the biggest currencies that you could develop. Right? They say if you're good at
Absolutely.
sales, you can be successful
Anything.
anywhere, and I believe that. I do believe that. But I was just like that, and I was a sales assistant, what we call a registered client associate for 7 years almost,
Wow.
where I learned I had a lot of anger because I didn't pass all my regulatory exams on the first go. The Series 66 is very difficult legal
Very.
tests. Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? But I still want to be here. I got here for a reason. I was very adamant about changing my life and getting into more of a serious career. And, I wanted to make my dad proud. That's why I got
Mm-hmm.
into finance,
Yeah.
because I wanted to make my dad proud, but to find
Mm-hmm.
out 13 years later that, yeah, I'm now I'm really fucking good at what I do,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
amount of knowledge that I've accumulated over the years. But however, I realized after all of that time, I was fighting so hard to be the best in the room, the smartest in the room, the quickest on
Yeah.
the feet, the wittiest in the room. For what reasons? Like, what were the root reasons? And it really destroyed me for a while. Like, I really
Yeah.
got into this like pivot where I was like, man, I'm just not happy all the
Right.
way. And it was
Yep.
really eye opening.
I'll tell you, I went through the same thing. Just so you know, it was like battling your best friend. Like it's almost an out of body experience. Like, how do you love yourself and hate yourself every single day and fight this battle to be like, I'm better than this, right? How is this guy beating me who has no morals, no values, right? And you're like, really, this guy, right? And I remember fighting. I'm like, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Maybe I'm the worst. Nothing I do, no matter how many people I help break through and build wealth, it will never be enough for my family to be like, she's amazing, right? Like I was fighting these
Yeah.
wrong battles and it was making me question myself until I really, like, I kind of came down to a couple of things. One, I got very, very sick, right? I worked so hard, I
Mm.
didn't take care of myself. I got cancer. And so I was sitting there in this pit. Someone close to me who I love dearly said, that's what you get when you make bad choices. It was pretty much saying God would give me cancer because I'm a bad person. And I
Oh
remember
my God.
sitting there. Yeah, it was rough. And I remember sitting there, and the moment I knew something was really wrong was when I almost believed it, was when I questioned to be like, am I a bad person? Do I deserve it? Was it wrong to go after all of this? Right. And then I
Right.
kind of went through this journey and I did some research. I remember Googling my name, Danelle. It's very different, right? And the name means only God is my judge. And I like stood up
Mm.
and I was like, okay, all right, right? Like it gave me a little bit of like, all right, you better fight for yourself. It doesn't even matter. It no longer matters, right? And then I started doing this journey and I was like, you know what? I feel like we're born to advance, right? We're born, we roll, we crawl, we walk, we run. Those who train
Mhm.
become Olympic fighters, right? Like you.
Mhm.
The capacity is zero, right? Like
Yeah.
there is not. You can do whatever you want. We're born. We squawk. We say words. We make sentences. Those who train become speakers, orators. All of these things. And I was like, it's natural to ascend. The only thing that is painful is when we don't. Underachievement.
Mhm.
And I learned, oh, it's not people. It's not, that is not my pain. My pain is knowing I can and not. And so I am going to never be in pain again because I'm always just going to find out what the capacity is. And I made it fun, right? Like I learned how
Mhm.
to trick myself in my own mind. I'm here, I'm looking, I'm in Cabo, I'm on vacation, and I am like 300 feet from the beach, but I have 3 more videos to film before I can go celebrate. So I look at it and I go, I'm going to be on a yacht tomorrow as long as I finish these 3. That's the deal I made with myself. So I'm going to film 3 and then I'm going to go have some fun. Now that
Yeah.
is how I learned to become my best rather than somebody thinks you should die because you're terrible and whatever they needed to do to hurt me, right? I'm
Yeah.
like, how do you want to build your business? On a yacht? And just motivate yourself by things that actually matter to you. I love being free. I love bringing 20 people with me who would never afford it. And let me show them how to build a business and do life rather than, hey, maybe you're not worth it. So
Yeah.
it's the people that choose to believe the wrong message that I want to like shake for a minute and go, hey, we're born to ascend.
Yeah.
The only thing hurting you is if you choose not to.
Yeah, yeah. Like we have to choose every single day to fight for ourselves. And that's challenging too. Like in my world, like there's certain days I'm like, no, I'm exhausted from training. Maybe I had 2, 3 sessions, but I'm like, no, I've been working for a year on these projects, on this, I'm doing this, like even
Yeah.
my interview with you, like I went through, researched like all of my guests, and I want to be informed, and I want to be ready to have such a rock star conversation with everybody that comes on the show. And so I was like, no, I'm going to do this, and then I'll do that. It's like
Mhm.
it's interesting how you say that. The other thing I wanted to touch on was the offensive part of things, which I
Mm.
feel like holds people back from a lot of experience or lessons in life.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the past I have been a highly offended person, which has prevented me from really getting serious feedback, and allowing me to grow. And so
Yes.
I see other people that I've interacted with that are highly offended people all the time. And sometimes it's in their nature and they don't feel like they can break that habit. But, you make a joke with somebody and they get angry, or, it takes away from just even fun and at
Yeah.
night with your friends if someone is highly offensive. So how do people break that offensiveness? Like, where does that come from? Like, does it come from
Yeah.
something within themselves, or maybe how they grew up, or where does that reside?
Yeah, I think my firm belief is that there's one thing that would actually like help all of mankind mentally, and that's
Mm,
the effort to build their self-esteem, right? I
mm,
think if someone has a weak self-esteem, they're highly offendable because they're scared
mm.
they're going to be found out. They're scared all their hard work isn't worth it. And they're usually like the hardest worker. They're
Yes.
trying so hard, but they're so fearful that someone or something could tear it away, that they feel that they have to knock down others. They're offended, like, how dare you, like, I've earned this. And what you have to know, and I think the number one work, and that's why I spend so much time, like, in order to build millionaires, I have to first build thinkers. I have to build self-esteem,
Mm,
and you have to
mm.
build a human to where they understand this is not earned. This is not some like self-esteem is the only thing that can only be built by you. Only. Like there's no mentor, there's no like anything that could do it. What you have to do is really hard things, and then you
Mm.
have to finish. I think we're great starters and terrible finishers in this
Ooh.
world. And anyone who says they're going to do something and they finish it, they will be building their self-esteem. Anyone who says they're going to do something and they don't, they're breaking it every single day. I'm
Ooh.
going to eat healthier. And then they go have a cheeseburger. They're
Mm.
breaking their self-esteem and they can't trust themselves. So if
Ooh.
you build into this human who has, and it's a daily practice. We say no 0 days at our house, right?
Mhm.
Like this is a daily practice of learning to trust yourself, doing what you say you're going to do, trying really hard things and shocking yourself. Well, then nobody can tell you you can't. Nobody can tell you
Right.
you're not worth it because you've proved it. You're like, what? I've worked every single day on this body. What? I've worked every single day on this mind. You can't do it. Actually, I would love to show you how I can. And so, what anybody says isn't offensive, it's their weaknesses. And when you build that self esteem, you see a human not as what they're saying, not as what they're doing, but as who they actually are. Right.
Mm.
And I
Mhm.
think, when I see someone and they would say something rude to me, I just call out is there something in me that offends you? I apologize. How can I help you? What are you looking to create?
Love
Right?
that.
Like, I'm never like annoyed. Someone thinks you're ugly. Okay.
Yeah.
I would love to be more beautiful. What should I do? Right?
Ah,
Like I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
offended.
You know what my
Yeah.
thing is, Danelle? You know what my thing is the one thing, and I just had a situation with this where I lost character for a moment, if we will. Is, yeah, and the one thing that makes me an offended person is disrespect.
Yep.
Um, and
Mhm.
and I and what I mean by disrespect is not like you see someone randomly on the street and you're like, "You're a bitch," or
Yep.
whatever, you know? It's
Yep.
like there are, I think, codes and rules of morals and moral people
Mhm.
that I think because I grew up with a Marine dad, we
Yep.
live off of honesty, loyalty, respect, all of these things. And so, like in
Yep.
martial arts, there's a standard for just basic respect, whether you like somebody or don't like somebody. And I can
Yeah.
put all dramatics aside to give respect when it's due in the place that it
Yes.
needs it.
Right.
And so when people violate that,
Mhm.
in that kind of regard, I just turn into like a bi you
Yeah.
know
Yep.
what.
Yep. You know why though? Here's why. And this is what everybody, I wish they would be so clear on their mission, vision, and values. Okay. What
Mm,
happens is, and we all have that one thing. Like yours is disrespect. It is one of mine. Mine is loyalty. Um,
mm,
like respect is a core value to which you have built everything you have done on. So when
mhm.
someone has no honor towards that, you see an immediate enemy. But what
Right.
happens is they just have different values. They might be building their values on hard work, on something
Mm,
else, and nobody ever taught them about the power of respect and being earned, and they don't know how to look up to anyone. They could have had no father figure. They have nothing, and
mm,
so they think hard work is equivalent to respect. And it's just
mm.
people who have different values. So when something pisses me off like that, and I'm like, "Oh, you mother, you messed with the wrong girl," right? Um, and I'll stand up to it and I'll go, what happened in their life that no one taught them this core value, and how could I show them how much it matters, right? And
Mm,
I just got used to using my voice instead of letting letting it fuel my emotions, right? I think I tell
mhm.
people, I go to the facts over any feelings. Feelings always got me in trouble because I am a little spicy,
Same, girl.
right? So these facts, I just go to the
Guilty.
facts and I just be like, hey Joe, man, that seemed really disrespectful, and I've completely built my foundation and everything based on respect. You might have some
Mm,
different values. What are yours? I'd love to know so that we could
mm.
make this go better, right? And they'll be like a little taken
Yeah,
back because I'm not
yeah.
offended. And I'm actually wondering what would make them think that that is okay, because they're probably working with a lot of people who respect is a core value, and if they don't
Mhm.
know it, they're going to have a really hard time in life. So I try
Yeah.
to tell them anything that makes me like think twice. I know there's a difference in values there, so I just look to understand the
Mhm.
human, but I also go, this might be a sorting tool. I never want to do business with someone who has different values ever.
So that was one thing that I noticed in a lot of like the TED Talk that you did was the second voice.
Hmm.
And I do want to dig a little bit deeper on that, so our audience can understand where you come from with that and the mindset
Yeah.
around that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always tell people, this is what I had to learn. And it's funny, I taught it for about 15 years without being clear enough on exactly what it was until I was called to do a TED talk. And I had like 4 days to write it. And I was like, ooh, how do I explain this? How do I land the plane and make sense of this? Right. And the truth that I got to was that our first thoughts are often liars. Our second thought is the truth. And I
Mm,
saw this pattern over and over in my life. It's like when you want to try something new and your first thought is like, ooh, like even if you're like in the first second, you're like, oh, I could do this. And then you're like, oh, the reality of sales calls and doing, and am I worth it? And, do I
mm,
fit the bill? And is this possible? Right? Those first thoughts are where most people live. And I say, what if
mm,
immediately you could shift it to your second thought rather than, why can't I? How could I? And it goes immediately to, what do I need to learn? Who do I need to know? What could I do? And if you focus on the facts, you'll win.
mm.
right? So I looked at it when I was told I had cancer. I got up and left the room. My doctor's like, "You can't. We gotta do something about this." I was like, "Peace. I don't want to hear this. I'm out." I had my kids with me, and I got very emotional, and my head started going. My first thoughts were, "You're gonna die. Who's gonna take care of your kids? Like, you got to go make
Right.
enough money right now that they're going to be okay for the rest of their life." And I just started freaking, and it
Mm.
was so destructive. I was like on the floor crying, and then I just said out loud, like, on second thought, I want to freaking live. I want to live. So how could I live? And so I started researching, what do people do who get this? Right? And then I was like, oh,
Yeah.
65% of people make it with this cancer. Okay, so I'm going to do this. And so I just set my mind on the facts rather than the emotions. And I
Mm.
think in life, so many times people's first thoughts kill them before they even begin. And if people
Mm.
could just immediately say, you know, on second thought, I think I'm gonna freaking smash this. On second
Yeah.
thought, right? I'm the only girl in thing. On the second thought, that makes me stand out, right? Like, and so it was
Right.
over and over that it happened to me with cancer, with relationships, with business, with parenting. Single parents, all their kids end up blah, blah, blah. Well, I got two super athletes, one movie producer. I think y'all are full of shit. Like, so it's like, on first thought, you're right. We all scare ourselves. But on second thought,
Mm.
this is what I want. And I think
Mm.
if we're around high performers, we figure out how to live on second thought. And that's where the win
Mm.
is.
Interesting, yeah. And to shift that mindset, I mean, you have to be a really self-aware human being though, as you're going through this to check yourself, right? Because I think it's like we start thinking about we go down the rabbit hole, and then like you said, we stay in the rabbit hole, and some people don't even recognize that they're in the rabbit hole.
That's right. That's right. Well, I think that's one reason I put like one liners out there all the time, because someone's going to be in the rabbit hole and go, "Oh, I remember that podcast where that lady said, this is my first thought," right? This is that one thing. And I think it's the same with business, right? So many capable people could
Hmm.
do all these things. But I say the only thing they need is a plan. So for me, I built a grid for people to always have something to follow, because it was hard for me. I had three tiny kids. I was going through
Yeah,
cancer treatments. I was building a business on the side. I had three jobs. And all I
right.
did was I wrote down what I needed to do in order to win. So if you have something you focus on to do, then
Hmm.
you don't even find a rabbit hole, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just and it's a pattern that you have to practice, right? It's just like building muscles. It's just like learning to box. At first your dominant arm can do it, your left one, mine felt like, I'm like, I don't even
Mhm.
know if this is attached to my brain, right? It's kind of how I felt in the beginning. And then the more you practice, the more repetitions, it gets stronger, right? It's the same thing for a long time
Mm.
in life. Like when you're a kid, you're born brave, wild and free,
Mhm.
till you
Yes.
get told like 130,000 times before you're 12, no, 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 no. And you're told like 1,000 times, yes. And so then you lead your life
Mhm.
that way. And so in order to retrain that, you can do it quickly, but as many times as you can tell yourself yes as an adult, the faster you'll win. So
Mm.
it's retraining patterns. We're all born and messed up. I'm
Yeah.
sure I'll mess up some things with my kids too, even though I knew all
Yeah.
this. But it's just
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
reprogramming the mind,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah. And the more you do
I
things like hard things, athletes, look at how you train. You're talking about two and
Mhm.
three trainings a day. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just we're here at Cabo. I just went to CrossFit, and I'm like, should I go again,
I
or should
saw
I
you
do
did
it twice?
CrossFit. I was like, "Yeah, go Danelle. She's ripping it." I saw you did the open. I was like, "Let's
Yeah,
go."
yeah. It's a
Ah.
good,
Yeah.
but it's a good metric every year. Like, do hard things, and
Yeah.
then you feel soft doing weak things, so you'll get out of those pits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this doesn't
Yeah,
feel right.
there was just something on, and I saw a reel on Instagram where there was a guy talking about, and I don't know what his medical background is, but they're doing research on the brain and the effects of doing hard things. There's a part of your brain that grows every
Yep.
time you do something hard and you accomplish and you finish it. And so it is like a real muscle that
Yep.
you're building. You continuously do hard things. And I just posted on my Instagram yesterday. I said, guys, I want to share a story today. I was sparring 15 rounds with these two girls that were complete badasses competing in the Golden Gloves next week or 2 weeks. And I was exhausted going into training yesterday. And I was like, you know what? I'm only going to have so many opportunities to be here right now. I'm going to go there. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to do it. Right. And I felt great afterwards. But I realize now at this stage in the athletic part of my life that I'm like, I thrive in the fire. Like Desiree does her best work under
Yep.
pressure, under fire.
Yep.
And like there's moments where I almost like crave it. You know what I mean? Like I'm seeking out,
Absolutely.
you start seeking out the challenges and the unthinkables of the world because you start to become like, yeah, you start thinking like I can just do anything that, I'm gonna get this done and get this done and I'm gonna accomplish this. Like it's a really weird dynamic sometimes when I think about it. But I just hope more people take chances in their lives and do things and do hard
Mhm.
things because it just has so much value
Mhm.
over your life.
I tell people every day, I go, remember when you started to do scary things and you'd get those butterflies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you'd lay back or you'd kind of do it and then you'd jump off the high dive or you do whatever it is and you start, right? Those butterflies like encourage you to do brave things. And I tell
Yeah.
people now, I said, when I'm building business, if I don't have butterflies, I'm not doing it right. Like you
Mm.
do crave. I'm like, listen, baby steps never inspired anyone to do something great, right? They're always like
Mm-hmm.
tiptoe, toe dip, whatever, all of those pieces. I'm like, listen,
Yeah.
like if I don't need to run to get into it, I'm not doing the right steps. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like if you're
Yeah.
not shaken to get into the ring when you wake up in the morning, you're probably doing
Right.
something so small that it won't inspire you with what you're capable of. I like have to,
Yeah.
like when you go into a workout, you're like deep breathing, you're like, all right, this is the one. That's how you should wake up. If you're really
Yeah.
getting after it, like I feel like I got to stretch before I get on my morning calls, like warm up for the fight that you want to enter.
Yeah. Is it crazy that okay, I've been doing CrossFit for like my coach has always pushed me to do CrossFit to be strong, to get stronger, punch
Yes.
harder. And it's so crazy. For the first like 3, 4 years, now I hated it because I
Yep.
was going there
Me too.
recreationally and then it became a job. And
Yep.
I like would go home and sleep the rest of the day. I'd be so just, drowned out from the workout. Now I would do it a lot different and be easier on myself. But CrossFit is a challenge every time you show up, and I think it's a great
Yep.
thing to get into from, just working out. It's
Yep.
challenging, it's hard. There's people from all ages that do it. We have 60-year-olds in our gym
Yep.
slanging weight around now. Like they're inspiring, okay?
Same. Same.
And, and I literally like every time like we do the open or whatever, I'm always like I'm nervous. Like I got to take a shit. I always say.
Yes, every time. The first time I went, I was in tears. I was so mortified, like watching these guys, and I was like, "Well, my 5 pound dumbbells like so heavy, like it was literally your bodily functions fear it, and it
Yeah.
is. Here's what I said yesterday. So yesterday we had and this goes from 2 years ago. I'd never walked into one of those gyms. I had always thought they were bros that take their shirts off and I'm
Mhm.
like, it's probably not the place for me. I might just watch. Right.
Yeah.
And and I was so scared and going in there and doing it. And then yesterday, I leave CrossFit dripping sweat. I'm like this close to not finishing. I'm like, oh, I'm hitting the buzzer, right? Like, 'cause it's competition, which entrepreneurs thrive in, and human
Mhm.
beings thrive in competition. That's where you see what you're made
Mhm.
of. So we were doing
Yep.
it, and Mike and I were the only ones who were going to finish. Like we were the only, and I was like, I'm beating this whole gym today. See my face, right? And I go to the end. I think I was like 2 reps shy, but I finished them anyway. I dropped it. I go outside, and I'm like, oh, there's no airflow here. It's the same temperature outside as inside,
Yeah.
right? And I'm dying. And we finish. And I said, you know what? I'm annoyed. And Mike was like, why? And I said, because I did 6 other workouts this week and none of them felt that efficient. I should make sure every workout I do feels this efficient. And that's what
Yeah.
CrossFit is. Like, if you're going to do it, your time should be used well, your muscles should be there, your cardio should
Yes.
be there. And it does it in 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes
Yep.
45 minutes. And
Yeah.
it's the same thing with anything in life. I'm like, do it on purpose or don't do it at all. People are like, I need to
Mhm.
sweat daily. And then they do something wimpy. And I'm like, no, do it the best you can if you're going to do it,
Right.
and then move on. And if people
Yeah.
would do that, man, they'd win in 90 days, not 9 years.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, we just launched a coaching program in January called the Champions Blueprint, and essentially we are putting
Yes.
people through a fight camp, right? I mean, it's not full like they're going to get in a ring,
Yes.
but physically we have mindset coach and we have a dietitian to attack the nutrition component, and yeah, we're wanting to transform people in the way that they look at life, how they push themselves to the limit. We've got gratitude included in there. We've got, some of the best nutritionists, dietitians that we work with. And that's part of like a lot of our conversation is like, hey, today might be semi light, but I want you to give it everything that you have, so that you feel good about it, right? Because
Yep.
we don't go in there trying to kill people. We have a progressive system working up, depending on your fitness capabilities. But it's like, hey, we want you to continuously see every single week some peak of adversity, some level of adversity, and then we want to keep you accountable for that. Because
Yes.
yeah, we want them to have that feel good. Like, I'm so passionate about it. We have one client right now, and she's like down like more than 10 pounds. And I'm
No way.
so proud of her. Like, I'm so proud of her. I can't even express to you, like, the fact that she is stuck with things. I can tell even in our conversations, her whole breath and bubble
Yep.
has changed. And it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I'm telling you, any professional goal you have, any personal goal you have, there's a health goal attached. When you
Yeah.
get that in order and you dial it in, everything in your life changes. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're working on kind of penetrating the corporate space. I would really love, because we'd
Yes.
be in front of
I'll share
Google.
you everywhere. You
I
got to
would
tell
love
me. Yeah.
that, because I with Morgan Stanley, we had a specialty in equity compensation, right? So for those of you watching,
Mhm.
if you work for Google, they may pay you with a paycheck, but they also may pay you in Google stock, right? And that comes in forms of what they call RSUs, stock options, all of these things. And so there's a ton of rules around it. So my experience getting up in front of people is talking about taxation and equity compensation and what is the difference between a ISO and a da 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 da. And I'm like, wow, but all these people are, when I meet with them, they're kind of sad. Like, and they're
Mhm.
supposed to be high performers, you know what I mean? And I'm like,
Yep.
man, I really wish I could just get in there and like shake them up with some martial arts, give them some motivation, and
Yes.
like show them a little bit of fighting spirit, right? So that they can be better for their organization, for their company that they're working for, and the people that they're around. Because, man, like when you
Absolutely.
start learning about someone's financial world, you have to know everything about their family dynamic. Do they share money? Do they not share money? It gets really deep.
Yes. Yes. That's
It
everyone's
gets,
biggest fears, right? To talk about those
yeah.
things. But don't you
Yeah.
wish, like, I wish everyone knew how capable they actually are. But if they tap into all those areas, financial, mental, personal, professional, right? All of those areas operating at the same, high
Mhm.
level achiever, this world would be a different place.
Yeah, 100% agree. 100% agree. So, I want to go back. Well, we'll talk about that next. I'll save that one. But I do want to know, because yeah, you are spicy, and I love your energy. It's so amazing. And I like when my viewers and audience, like, what I want them to hear is like, these are the savage things I did as a female to get where I am today. And where are there certain points where you're like, someone either told you no, or you did something that maybe even you're not that proud of, but you're like, I don't care. I got to be cutthroat. This is me or it's them, and I'm making it.
Yeah. Oh, every day. But there are some. It's almost like, it's interesting. I think the hardest one for me was actually pretty accurate.
Mm,
I was up for this huge opportunity speaking when I got really good at speaking at events and I could make a million plus from stage, right? One
mm,
day, all I had, delivery, I was like, this is a tool. This is an asset to change lives, help them, serve my family, all of our
mm.
futures, generations, right? Like I didn't take it lightly. And so, like you, when you talked about being disrespected, I got a phone call from a board that I was getting ready to go up. You know, I've been on the stages with the best in the world, and
Yeah,
I really just wanted to serve people. I had this great heart, right? It's great heart. I love people more than people do, right? Like it's just who I am, and I've learned this, right? And
yeah.
I had this opportunity. It was the greatest in the world. I was ready to share my gifts. You know, it was all promotion. Everything was going to go out everywhere. This was going to be a huge deal for me.
Mm,
And the board got me on a Zoom call and told me I didn't fit the bill. And I
mm,
dug and I go, what do you mean I didn't fit the bill? And they literally pulled up the other female speakers and said I was overweight. I couldn't be in the lineup of photos with everyone. It would be inappropriate. Like it wouldn't help their brand, me physically on their stage. Uh, and at
mm.
first, I was mortified and embarrassed. Um, and
Offended.
I was offended. Um, and then I was like self pity because they were correct. I had gained weight. I had worked really hard, and then I was like morally conflicted because I said, "How am I helping all these people when I'm not really living everything that I believe, and I've let this get out of control? What am I going to do?"
Mm,
And so it was like a depression that I couldn't really stand or explain. And I also didn't have time to cry about it because I had millions of people looking to me to help them. So I didn't get a day off.
right.
I didn't get anything. I had to fix it while doing everything else. And in the beginning, I started working out like I hated myself. I was humiliated.
Mm,
I was embarrassed. Chance of a lifetime with people everybody knows and loves, and I blew it. Um, and so I was like beating myself to a pulp. And then I said, you know what, I need to do this like how I do everything else. Like I had hired people. I hired chefs and personal trainers. One lived in my house, like two of them
wow.
lived in my house, like,
Dang.
but it didn't matter. All the money in the world that I had and all the opportunity in the world and people telling me what to do could not make me make this change. I had to
Mm,
do it. And I think it was like the scariest thing in the world that I put my business on hold and I decided to let money go and say, hey, I'm going
mm,
to take 2 years to get myself in order so that I can morally and ethically advance my business. And that was pretty unconventional because I had everything in the world and every opportunity in the world. And I said, it's not right.
yeah.
It's not right. I need to go fix it. And that's when Mike came into my life, who became business partner
Mm,
and he never made me feel bad. And he never made me go. He just said, I'm going. And I said, I'll come with you to the gym. And it became like this new lifestyle. It was
lifestyle,
like
yeah.
the world knew I needed somebody to help me who actually cared.
Mm,
And was amazing. And so then I got fit twice as fast, and I had some of the biggest minds in the world, one who was on that board, call me and go, how'd you do it? I want to know actually
mm,
how you did it. And I said, you know what, I worked out with the fittest person in the world, and I never knew you could do squats slowly. I never knew you could do like he was just fit. And I
yeah.
was like, oh, this is what we're doing. I'm gonna die. Okay, we're lifting heavier. Okay, right. And this is what we're eating. I was just watching it and learning. And if you put yourself in the arena in a really sad spot without someone
Mm,
who is a champion, you're gonna go under. And I
mhm.
instead was in the room with a champion and decided how to conquer that. And the next year they called me back and said, we're really proud of you. We'd love you to be on the stage. We know you'll make millions here. And I said, no, thank you. It looks like our
Ooh.
values don't align. And that was a really damn
Yes,
good day.
sir.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't that I didn't want to go make money. I didn't want to help more people.
Right.
And it wasn't that they didn't give me a gift, because they did.
Mhm.
I just loved myself enough to not hang out with people who were going to judge me based on something like that. It just wasn't healthy for my
Yeah.
brand or what I do. And maybe I should have said yes looking back at it, but I'll tell you, like, I think I did the right thing. And I think I'm really
Yeah.
proud of standing for what was right. Yeah.
Yeah. I would probably do the same thing. Um,
Yeah. I think it
because
might have been protecting me. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the other thing too is like not forcing things and I feel like I just turned 35, I'm figuring a lot of stuff out as a woman, a lot of stuff out about myself. My grandma used to always tell me like you're going to be different at 25, you're going to be different at 30, like you're going to change and you're going to evolve. But I'm learning that forcing things never comes with the outcome that we want. It only brings things that were not meant for us. And
It's
so
very true.
my
Very
yeah, my
true.
boyfriend, he always says this. He says, "Babe, what's for you won't pass you up." And
Oh,
I
I
and
love
I
that.
yeah, I know, right? Isn't that so powerful? And
Hmm.
and so yeah, like even sponsors for fighting is really hard to come by. It's the way they treat you, I feel like is not like a relationship, a partnership. Where we come from relationship business, right?
Right.
And you're kind of just like thrown in the thread needle, and then money can stop at any point, and they're just
Right.
on the views and all this, and they get marketing for life. But
Mm.
that stuff can end in a heartbeat. And I was really upset because I had a sponsor just kind of drop me,
Mm.
and really he didn't give me a chance to kind of build out, right? Because I have so many verticals going on in my social platforms. It takes time to build a voice in certain spaces so people
Yeah.
look up to you for that advice. And so for me, it has always been fighting. However, there's so much more behind that than just fighting. So I've been working really hard to just display that in my social media, display that to my audience. But yeah, they kind of just dropped me and I was upset about it. And he's like, babe, it's okay. Something else will come and like what's for you won't pass you. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that alone, if I just tell myself that
Yeah.
when things don't happen the right way, solves so many like disappointments and sadness on my end, that maybe that will work for somebody else too. I don't know. But
Absolutely. It's absolutely true. Don't you like when we look back with hindsight out of our whole
mm,
lives, the things that didn't work out were saving us from a different path that we didn't want, right? Like I never get upset anymore when things go good or bad. I'm just like, thank you. Turn me to the left if I need to turn to the left. Turn me to the right if I need to turn to the right because the world's moving in my favor, right? And if we look at it
yeah.
that way, no disappointment takes you out, no win takes you too high. And I think
Mm,
I think you're right on the money. What's for you when you're doing the right things, what's for you will never pass you. I love that. I'll use it for good as
mhm.
well. My grandpa used to always wake me up and he would say, "Get up, kid. Not everybody made it. You better get after it today." And I think I like he was just the ultimate realist. Like this is your shot, right? And I think if we all wake up going, "This is your shot. What finish line will you cross today?" That's all you got to do, and
Mm,
it's really allowed me to live what I feel like is 10 lifetimes in one.
I love that. Yeah, grandparents are so powerful. Like I
They're
feel like
so wise.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like they say things that just like they stick with you and you're like, "Ah, that's
Hmm.
what you meant by that."
Hmm.
It's like,
Yep.
God.
He would tell me that all the time. My grandpa was an incredible businessman as well. He was a farmer, but like a networker to all get out, moved the
Mm,
world, and we'd build relationships and do things. And he told me some of the wisest things ever. And when I was growing up and young, and those are the lines that run in my head and have probably saved my life 9 million times.
mm, mm. That's amazing. That's amazing. So, Danelle, quickly, I'll skim over this. I am interested. I just didn't want to spend too much time, but I'm interested in your work, and I know you do a lot of speaking, and that helps the masses, right? But when you're
Yep.
dealing with business people, corporate professionals, things like that, what does it look like to work with you, and why? I feel like this has become more of a popular. Not just popular, but just more people are aware of the benefits of the work that you do. What does that look like when you come on board and you're like, hey, I'm going to help you fix X, X, and X? Like, why do people hire
Mhm.
Danelle?
Yeah, two things usually. Number one, they look at me because of how I monetize all that they do. So we'll
Mm,
monetize their company, their sales team. We'll go through their taxes, their health benefits. Most companies are totally overpaying. They're
mm,
underutilizing tax strategy. Their teams are not equipped, or they don't have money to hire someone to train them, or they don't know how to mentally prepare all their sales teams. So those pieces, I help with the monetization, which is why they look at me.
mm,
And number two, I get to the roots of who they are, what they stand for, and I help them build a business based on that. And when you
mm.
do that, it becomes a rocket ship. I had a gentleman call me right before I walked into CrossFit yesterday, and he said, "Listen, we've had your training in with our team now for 9 months. We just scaled over 100 million since we started to do this with you,
Wow.
and I need to tell you thank you. You made me what I'm capable of, so your training could also do that for my team." So I think
Oh,
people don't know they need the personal side. They want the monetization, but they don't know it comes from their own personal foundation. So it's my favorite when
mm,
I get to work with the CEO and I also get to scale their company. Maximize what they're doing,
yeah.
monetize those things, but change it so they don't feel like they're working so much. They feel like they're living their purpose. It's no longer
Mm.
a job. It gets to be me today instead.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's interesting because you have your own company, which is your baby, and you have so much passion around your own business. And that the same applies to these other companies, whether they're small cap, large cap, right?
Yep.
These all originated from an idea and from passion from somewhere. And sometimes it's hard to like make the alignment with the self value and the purpose of the company. And so I feel like, yeah, you're right. Like once even in life, when you start living more authentically to yourself, beautiful things start coming from it. And in corporate cases, it's revenue, right?
That's right. That's right. It usually is
But-
for everyone, right? It's amazing. They think they're
yeah.
stuck, but they're just misaligned.
Yeah, that's it. You're not stuck. You're just misaligned. So hire Danelle and she will get you aligned.
That's right. That's right. That's where all
Yeah,
the fun
I love that.
happens.
The next segment that I talk about is called Fight Like a Girl.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
it is, I love it. And I tell this story about my coach. I was preparing for a fight. We're in the ring and I was just deflated. As you start getting closer to the fight,
Yeah.
your energy is low, you're exhausted. And he looks at me and he shakes me and he says, Des, I need you to be a strong girl. I'm
Oh,
a 35-year-old woman, okay, Danelle? And
right.
I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I can be a strong girl. And
Yes.
now, like in moments of weakness or moments I'm
Hmm.
feeling a little not feeling myself totally, I'm like, Des, you need to be a strong girl. And so yeah, and I try to breathe that onto other people. And it really works because we did a seminar a couple weeks ago
Absolutely.
and I looked at a girl and I could just tell she was frustrated with herself. She was doubting herself. She had all these things going on in her belief system that were not true. And I said, "Hey, I need you to be a strong girl." And she looked at me in the same look, the same
It's a
same thing,
powerful
Danelle.
statement. Yeah.
And I don't even think he knows what he's saying because he just says things sometimes,
Right.
okay? He's
They're so
but
good.
it affected me so much and that I'm still months later telling myself these things, mental
Yeah.
trickeries to get myself back to realignment. And so in your world, like where are you fighting every single day? Like where is
Mhm.
that one thing that just drives your passion when it comes to your
Yeah.
work?
Yeah, mine for sure is the people I help. I think when you have a skill and you know how it can change a life and you do it once, you'll never misuse that skill again. And I tell
Mm,
people all the time when they get stuck and they're trying too much to do it for themselves, I go, you make a list of everybody it's going to help when you win. You make that list clearly. You write down their names, write the names of your kids, write anyone who you plan on helping when you win, and you write down then what you're going to do for them. You're going to
mm,
pay off your family's homes. You're going to provide for your kids whatever they want. Make it specific. And then
mm,
when it pops up and you need to be a strong girl, you remember who loses if you don't win. And you
mm,
can't forget what you promised you were going to do for them. And sometimes my fight comes more for helping those people. Like I look back and I go, if I would have known all these people I was going to help, I would have started yesterday and done it twice as fast. Like I just didn't know. my life mattered like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
how on earth does small town girl do this? Like we talked about at the beginning. And
Yeah.
if people just realized, like, they're always like, how do I know if it's supposed to be me? I'm like, if you're asking that question, it's you. Nobody else
Yeah.
asks that question, right? And I write down everybody you want to help that you can think of now. You might not even know them, but that was
Yeah.
the sentence. Who loses if I don't win? And they were too
Mm.
important to me to, like, I can't imagine telling my kids, hey, you guys weren't worth it today. I decided I needed a self-care day, right? Like that would
Yeah.
never happen. They're my whole life. And so
Right.
if you get those people clear, you'll never stop
Yeah.
again.
Wow, that's great. I love that. The other thing I like to talk about is aligns with fight with like a girl is women in leadership, and so I feel like now, I feel like now more and more people are hiring women over men because of the amount of passion that we have in the things
Yep.
that we do and attention to detail, and the compassion we have for others, etc. It's a very maternal thing
Correct.
that we hold that I feel like business women then translate into their corporate life, right? And people can feel that.
Yep.
And so we're
Absolutely.
all in the world of feeling. And so where do you feel in terms of female leadership? How do you see that changing and evolving?
Yeah, it's cutting edge, right? It used to be like it's hard to get in there. Now it's like we want the best. They are the ultimate drivers of culture in
Mm,
companies. They're also the fighters. They'll speak up, they'll stand. They have a
mm,
unique ability to connect every company to their customer that people wouldn't see without them. And
mhm,
that's the in depth. I think females are the leaders in care deeply, challenge
mhm,
directly. They'll also call a spade these days, and that is what I believe. I'm like, care deeply, challenge directly, and women are really taking the customer experience, the connection to making corporate humanly again.
mm.
And they're also the key to branding, in my personal opinion. Branding, motivation,
Yeah.
marketing, those kinds of things. We have an edge that the others don't. I have a lot of
Mhm,
male mentors, I will be honest with you, because in the beginning, there weren't enough loud women who I could follow to lead.
yeah.
Now there's both. And so I have both. In the beginning, loud women were like bitchy and strong, and everybody hated when they come in and now there is a quiet confidence that I think scares people and they know they need on their
Mm.
team. Yeah, we
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have to be that kind of loud. We're accurate, and
Right.
we care, and we'll also challenge correctly.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that is a huge underestimation of some women. I have been there. There's been
Mm.
moments where I've been loud because I didn't know how to express myself from a professional standpoint in the right way. I didn't know how to position myself
Yeah.
and my concerns, in which I thought were unfair, correctly to be received well by my male peers. Did that make
Right.
sense?
Oh, for sure.
Um,
For
and it
sure.
came
It's a
off as
craft.
bitchy. Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Hmm.
and you have to learn that, especially if you're a super passionate person. Like, I'm so
Yep.
passionate, and when I
Yep.
know something is not fair or not right, like, I will fight to the death, you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
And I mean, this is the very reason I decided to leave the big wirehouse is because the manager literally sat in front of me. He didn't agree with my lifestyle outside of wealth management. He was really trying to bury me, and he said to myself, I don't think that you're taking this seriously enough. I don't think we're the number one priority. I don't think da 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 da. All these things that he said about me. And that was the final straw for me, Danelle.
Hmm.
I actually put him in a very collegiate fuck you
Yeah.
position and was
Yep.
like, the thing you're telling me no is actually already approved. So I can do what you're telling me I can't do. Um, and on the second note, I really don't appreciate that you are coming to me the way
Hmm.
that you're approaching the situation, as if that this is not a priority, it's not important to me just because you don't agree with my lifestyle. You know what I mean?
He
Um,
broke your value again, that disrespect value.
oh, yeah, he
Hmm.
did. It was bad. And I that was the calmest I ever was in a corporate situation. Like I've had arguments with men in the past with things and it didn't
Yeah.
end well, right? So I had to
Yeah.
like reevaluate how I was approaching the conflict. And so and then so years went on and then this happened and I was like, I'm a little disappointed at that you would perceive this situation as if I didn't care. Like almost like
Mhm.
I don't care and it's my life. I'm a single mom providing for one kid.
Right.
This is where my money comes from. Why don't you think that that's important to me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
I don't think that he would have that conversation with a man the way he did because the
Hmm.
language he was using wasn't in the way
Yeah.
of it would be applicable to everybody. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard for women not to turn in. The reason I'm saying that is it is hard for women not to turn into that bitch corporate woman because she's just
Yeah.
been pushed to the edge so much that she feels like she has to defend herself. I'm not
Right.
seeing that as much now, but I feel like that's like the normal narrative that we get when we think about women like that, powerful women.
Right. Yep. It's actually why I put myself out on the internet so much. In the
Mm,
beginning, people think it's bragging. Until you win long enough, it becomes what they're inspired by, right? And
mm,
I always tell people, I go, my goal is to change something in me so visibly that every 30 days someone would notice a difference in me. I would be stronger
mm,
mentally, professionally, more astute in my speaking, more healthy with something, right? Like whatever it is, I call it the 30-day
sure.
difference. And when people start noticing, they start seeing you as an asset, right? So when you
Mhm.
become the greatest asset, you always become the person on the team, right? They want you on their team. How could I get you on their team? And I
Mhm.
really did it to position myself that they would need me because I got tired of being put in situations like you where it was like, hey, you're incredible, but we want you in this box because this is how I do it. I think this is how you should do it. And instead, that's
Yeah.
why I didn't just go for one industry. I'm like, no, rules don't apply. Let's make our own. And I
Mm,
really did. Like the more you put yourself out there, the less people can hurt you.
mm,
And I believe it hands down, right? It's not uncomfortable. I mean, it's not comfortable. I don't love seeing my face in selfies on the internet, and I don't love sharing all of the things all the time, or my personal life, or any of those kinds of things, or the highs and lows.
mhm,
However, it has given me leverage to be exactly who I am and let the greatest minds in the world honor that, and then nobody
mm,
can really step on it. You
mm.
know,
I love that,
um,
yeah.
put your real life out there, and then you're not attracted to spaces where it's not welcome, right? It also sorts
Yeah.
people out. If they don't like how I am, if they don't like my spiciness, if they don't like that I swear a little and I do these things,
Mhm.
then they're not going to reach out to me anyway, and it's not going to be a bad partnership. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the better relationships come from more authentic. I put myself out there, and the braver I am to
Sure.
be all of me, right? I
Yeah.
tell people all the time, I go, most people are just afraid of they're just afraid, right? They fear everything. I go, I'm just more afraid of being nothing than of being something. I'm not
Yeah.
willing to be nothing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I posted just recently a seminar we did and I was cursing in first of all, it's an aggressive sport, okay? I'm gonna cuss. It's
Yes,
aggressive. I need to
you
be
have to.
aggressive, okay? On top of it,
Yes.
I'm a Marine's daughter. So you know what?
Yeah.
Fuck comes out quite a bit, Danelle. I can't help it.
Nothing
People
feels as good as that word. It really
yeah,
makes the
like
mark. It's one of my
yeah,
favorites.
it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Yes.
Like relax. Just don't be so tense. But yeah, and this person was like, "Why are you cussing? That's disappointing or something." And I'm like, "Look, I'm a Marine's daughter. Number one, and number two, I'm not for everybody. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think the more we get to that point, I'm just not for everybody, and the people that are for me will find me, and
Yeah.
what's gonna be for me will not miss me. So,
Right? And
there's
it's true. And if someone's offended by what I say, well, you don't have to, right?
yeah,
Like I
yeah.
always I always love it when people say that. I was like, you found yourself in the wrong room. How else can I help
Yeah.
you? But
Yeah, exactly.
it is I think I like that swearing is a lot more welcome in today's corporate space, and
Yeah,
I'm like, you read all the studies and all the things, but I was like, I'd rather have an authentic human being than someone who is
100%.
afraid to fit in or lives by a certain rule that doesn't even matter for them or was made in 1912, any of those kinds of
Yeah.
things. Like, give me a real hard worker. Like, the
Yeah.
F word doesn't come out unless you're working your face off, right?
Yeah.
And there's just nothing else to comprehend it. So if someone isn't comfortable with that word, I don't think they know how to work hard.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
like,
true. I like that.
what well are you digging from?
I
Because
like that angle, Danelle. I love that angle. I love it. I love it. So I literally, I mean, it's just telling the guys today, I said, oh my gosh, I feel so grateful. Like all of the people that have been on the show so far, and we're just kind of scratching the surface. But I was like, one thing that everybody has in common is all of the women that I've had on here are absolute thugs. And that's what I love to say. And then one of my guys, Randy, was like, "Yeah, thugs need love too." And I'm like, "Yeah, thugs need love too."
that's
So
awesome.
it kind of transitions into my next, like, Danelle, you are such a thug in my eyes, such a gangster. And what does the soft side of Danelle look like? Like you mentioned your partner, you mentioned your kids. Like, where do you reset? Like, where do you find your feminine? Like, where do you feel
Mhm.
at your safest in your world?
Yeah, I believe the best place to be is I now have, like, I will tell you, I vacation like a queen.
Mm,
I mean, I've served like a rock star and I work hard every 90 days to hit a goal. And when I do, I celebrate like I am the
mm,
queen of the world. And I do that with my family, with no phones, with no work, just as ourselves, doing everything we love. We love to be on the
mm,
ocean. We love to spend time, but there probably is not a softer spot in my heart than my three kids.
mm,
They are my whole life on sporting benches in our home and game nights. Um, Letting them lead me at this point in life as they'll be 17, 17, and 18, and watching them lead as adults and me follow, I think is the softest form I will ever be. They are
mm.
absolute legends. And as my son said, he got interviewed not too long ago, and they said, "How's it feel? Your mom's a super successful multimillionaire." And he said, "Excuse me, sir, we all are. We did this together." And I loved that so much. And so I
Hired.
think, right? Yeah, exactly, exactly. He's getting recruited right now for basketball in college, and we're so excited. But
Yeah.
that's they are my whole life. I live and breathe for them, and there is no better place in the world. I think the older I get, the harder it is to work because I want to spend so much time there.
Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. I mean, they will teach you about yourself. They will push you past your limits if you let them. Um,
Yes.
and
Yes.
yeah, they show you everything about yourself that you want to get better at and be better
Yep.
as a human being, because you make such an impact on their lives. So I think it's really cool that you do this 90-day,
Yep.
this 90 like almost challenge for yourself, which I love
Yep.
hearing about tips that women do and things that they hold themselves accountable for. And this is really cool for the audience that's listening. So tell us a little bit about that really quick. Like you take
Yeah.
90 days to achieve.
Absolutely. Yep. They know every goal. So these grids that I build for people, and I do it for myself. Every 90 days, we have three goals that we work. They're usually two
Mm,
professional, one personal. And we work these goals. And when I cross the finish line, we set in advance a celebration that's worthy of the work, that's
mm,
equal to the work. And so they're cheering for me. They're like, "Get out the door." They'll be like, "How much closer are we today? What were your numbers today?" They know everything about the business, the life, the hardcore, because I don't want them to think I would miss a thing if it weren't
mm,
important, right?
mm.
Because I'm there for them always. Sometimes a thing will interrupt, and I'll tell them. And then when we go celebrate, we celebrate so hard that they can't wait to set more goals. What are we doing next time? Where are we
Yeah.
going? And it just inspires this all hard work is worth it. And so
Mm,
they do it with their own. When Seth shoots this many hoops in a game, we celebrate this way. When each of them have something different,
mm.
different goals, different things. My daughter won a big thing yesterday for school, and I was like, "All right, celebration time." I just teach them. I think so many people just drive so hard, and I want the brain to always be trained. Hard work is worth it,
Mm,
and to be excited to go back. So that's what
mm.
we live, and that's how they
Yeah,
were
I
always
love
okay
that.
with me working hard.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I can relate being a single mom. It is not easy, but you have been a single mom for humans,
Yeah.
and I applaud you for that because this teenage life is not for the weak, and
It's
I
not.
say it every day. I say it every day. We're going through our own life struggles over here in this house, but
Hmm.
I always tell my kid, I said, you know what? I'm never going to give up on you, and you're going to make
That's
mistakes,
right.
but I am always going to be here, and I'm never going to give up on you. And I tell him, you are my number one priority, period.
That's right.
And it doesn't matter like who I'm dating, who whatever, if his dad and I aren't getting along or whatever it is. I'm like,
Yep.
you are my number one priority, period. And that's it. You know,
Always.
that's all I can give. Um, so in terms of making this 90-day thing, I think I might incorporate that in my life. I think I might
Yes.
try to do
Yes.
something like that.
I'm gonna send you a little video training that you can
Yeah.
watch and do it just for you.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it works like magic,
Okay.
and they automatically pick it up. I mean, I teach it to
Okay.
adults, but my kids live and breathe it, and it is the
Love it.
fastest way to make things happen for people. Right? My
Okay.
son was like, "I'll dunk in 90 days. I'll do it." Right? Here's the things that I have to do. These are the 15 activities that will get me closer.
Mm.
So we only do those during the day. It's a
That's
pretty
amazing.
ironclad plan.
Sold. Implementation start now. Implementation,
Yes.
excuse me, implementation starts now.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So I posted you on my Instagram, my story, and I had gotten a few things like, wow, she is a really profound businesswoman. Like, I can't wait to listen to this episode. But there was one question here that was, how do you maintain balance and self-care being so busy, which I think you might have just answered that question. But on a daily basis, like I guess I can extend this and say, like, how do you make sure that you're ready to go every day and you come with that fire and you don't get burnt out? Like, how do you deal with that stuff?
Yeah, I think I like to use the word priorities instead of balance. And my
Mm,
priorities change every 90 days, every season. So it depends on the goals
mm,
that I have. For instance, I think most people are like, my family's number one, then my partner or my faith, and then my business, right? They have all these things and they have like rules, like this is how it should
mm,
be. And I simply learned that there are some seasons business come first because it feeds everything else we do. So here's the kids
mm,
schedule and business fits right here, and then we switch it. Then we build our life around our business, and we build our business around our life. It just depends on the
mm,
seasons, but I think people need to be very clear what season they are in, what are the priorities and why, and when does it
mm,
switch, right?
mm,
So we love it. Summers I don't work, I play with my kids all
mhm.
summer because that's exact, and I work so hard so that I can, right? During volleyball,
Yeah.
basketball seasons, I only can travel and speak every other week. So there's just
Mhm,
priorities that I put in place. And as far as the self-care goes, that's a lifestyle. I daily
mhm,
sweat. Like my daily is that. I don't necessarily ever need permission or anything. If I need a massage, I get it. I don't need a scheduled
mhm,
day for self-care. I don't overwhelm myself. I
mhm,
work hard. I have goals. I live a lifestyle that cares for me. And then we adjust
mhm.
our priorities every 90 days.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, because I think we can get stuck. I just thought about this the other day because I was when I first left, right, having to go to the office every single day. I was like, wow, I need to adjust to this new life that I've created for myself because I've been so ingrained to be up at 6:30 when the market opens and go here and be there. And now I find myself being very productive, but having more time for myself, more flexibility. I can pick my
Yeah.
kid up from school. I can take him to where he needs to go and things like that. And like part of me feels like I should be more, like there should be more. And I'm like, no, Des, like you've created this life for yourself so that you have more and need to stress less, and
Yes.
do the things you love. So I have like sometimes I have to recondition my brain to say,
Yep.
no, it's okay. Like you've done this for yourself for a reason. That's why you're
That's right,
You
right.
do
We
all
do have to like have that conversation. It's weird. Like I always tell people, I go, "Who's are you still living by your mom's rules? You're 40. This is weird."
right.
Like write new rules. Just what are the rules that make it right, that align with your mission, vision, and values, and then do life. Like, it's like when people have to defend themselves to me, I call them justifications, right? I'm like, "You're justifying this to me. Why don't you just be like, I take Mondays off. That's okay to do
Yeah.
as an adult, right?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As long as you do the work in other places, right? Yeah,
Right, for sure.
right?
Interesting. I love that. Okay, so I always make a quick anecdote or something or a lesson from the ring that kind of applies to
Mm.
our story. And so when I think about fighting, when I think about fighting Muay Thai, and every fight is different. Every fight is different. You have to approach it different. You have a different strategy that you have to put in place. Different opponent, different strokes, right? And
Yes.
you also have to grow and you have to get better while doing that by learning from your last mistakes that you made in your previous fight. And so I think this conversation has been such a beautiful combination of that and discussion where we as women primarily, because that's what this show is our audience is, but we can continuously evolve, change, and grow, but we also need to keep in mind that mindset has such a huge impact on our life. The way we talk to each other will have such
Yeah.
an impact on our business and our relationships and everything. And sometimes the shifts are small, but over time and as they accumulate, you become a world champion in the area that you have expertise, just like we can become
Yes.
champions in the ring. And so
Yeah.
I love that. And I thank you so much for, sharing your story. I'm captivated by you. I hope others are captivated by you. I wish we had more time, and that we can talk. By the way, where are you based at, Danelle?
I'm based in Colorado.
Okay, in Colorado. Well, if I fight in
Yep.
August, there's a card in Colorado. I will be having coffee with you.
Yes.
So I will let you know if
I want
I
to
get
come see you
accepted.
fight. Anywhere
Yeah,
you
it
are, I
would.
still want to come.
It would be huge. This is like the big stage. Is a promotion called One Championship. I've always wanted to fight on. It is the highest level of Muay Thai
Yes.
on a global scale, and they're just having a card so happen in August, and I would love to be on that. And so we're being in consideration now. I'm super excited
My
about it. But yeah,
goodness.
so and if people wanted to work with you, if people wanted to learn more about what you do, how it could affect their businesses, where would they find you on socials, your website? Can you plug us in with that?
For sure. DanelleDelgado.com and Danelle Delgado on any of the social platforms as well. However, I can help. You got it. And I will come see you fight when you get that card.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you guys make sure if you have guests that you want me to talk to on my show, let me know. We love the engagement. We love the questions you have. Make sure you like and subscribe. And remember, ladies, we play by our own rules every single day. And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much, Janelle.
Thanks so much for
And
having me.